She make it clap, clap, clap. She make it clap, clap, clap.
The same curve. I always run over that fucking curve. She's not respectable girl. He can get it on. He's got the dong. He's got the dong. He can get it on. Dong, dong. Dong, dong. I was about 16 or 17, probably 16, and I was in high school, and one of my best friends and I used to like going to our other best friend's house after school to chill. This best friend had her own apartment, so everybody liked to chill at her place, right? So one day after school we get there, she's not home. So we wait on her like porch area. This crappy car comes driving along, barely making it, just like chugging along, stops right in front of us, like on the street. Out of the car steps out this tall and lanky guy. He was wearing a business suit, but it didn't fit him. He had a briefcase, that's what I remember. He had really thick glasses, like he had a hard time seeing. Like he would look up in the sky when he was talking. I remember that. So he approached us. He like completely ignores my friend's existence completely, zones in on me, and looks up at the sky and he's like, do you have a boyfriend? I know I said I didn't have a boyfriend, okay? I said that. And then right after he's like, do you want one? And I don't remember what I said here. I don't think it was a strict no. I had trouble with doing that. I mean, I'm better now, but I don't like hurting people's feelings. And I don't think it was a strict yes either. It was, I don't know, I'll think about it kind of thing, you know? After that, he just turned away, kind of like in a childish manner, you know, like, hee hee. The next day, we're back at my friend's house hanging out inside her place. There's a knock at the door. My friend's boyfriend is like, Chantal, your weirdo boyfriend's at the door. I'm not gonna lie, part of me was like, ooh, I have a boyfriend? I didn't. I get to the door, it's Clinton. The guy's name was Clinton, by the way. But I had another friend that was there, and she was kind of like outgoing and eccentric, and she always had like an eccentric curiosity with weird people. She's like, where do you live? She ended up getting his address. Apparently he lived only a block away. My friend's like, let's go, let's go. So after he went home, against his wishes, we ended up going there. He lived a block away in like a duplex type of building. We got there, he has a mail slot. And my friend, annoying as she was, kept going in like, Clinton, Clinton. And I think it was like saying like, go away or something. She's like, I need a glass of water. She was trying to get him to open the door. She's like, I need a glass of water. So after a few minutes of trying that, all we see is a banana, yellow banana, the fruit, shoved through the mail slot. Finally, he opens the door. I don't remember how we coaxed him. Lets us in. His apartment was stifling. He had the heat jacked up. And this is what he had in his apartment, okay? You know those racks for clothing? When you try on clothes at a store, you don't want the clothes, so you put them on this rack? He had one of those racks with various business suits. He had a lamp with no lampshade beside it. The light was on. Covering his entire apartment. The toaster, the walls, the cabinets, everything. The dish rack, post-it notes. You know those little yellow sticky notes you write when you stick it somewhere? You could barely see the white of his walls. There was a sticky note on his toaster that read, I can hide in here. I can hide in here. Maybe he's from another dimension where he can hide in toasters. I don't know. I can't explain it. That very well, I mean, he had an obvious mental disability. Another post-it on the wall said, getting it helps my memory. My friend, because it was hot in there, she's like, hey Clinton, can you take us for a ride? My friend somehow coaxed him into taking us for a ride. My friend opens the passenger side door, just laying in the middle of the seat of the passenger side, sorry. This big hunting. So she's like, looks at me, grabs it, throws it on the lawn. Well, he didn't seem to notice, so my other friend and I, we get in the back seat. His behavior in the car, guys, he just sat there for a minute. My friend's like, aren't you going to start the car? He starts the car, pulls out. He kept putting his head down, like, and going, oh, like making these whiny noises. We decided to get out, leave him there at the stop sign. I don't know, I'm interested to know what's happening with him these days. I thought I'd share. So today I want to talk about my horrible roommate while I dip this in ranch and give you the first bite. My first apartment on my own. It was 2-bedroom. It was the apartment I've ever lived in. Didn't even have windows. The slumlord put plexiglass and tape. I was working at a call center. I knew this guy through a friend. I wanted a roommate to share expenses. You know, I had a 2-bedroom. And this guy was really down on his luck, so I let him live there. Move in with me. And the day he moved in, this guy would not leave me alone, like, always try to have sex with me. And he was like, not aggressive, but he was pushy about it. And he would get this look in his eye, like all like, I don't know how to do it, but it was like a weird look, and I knew he was going to try. It came to the point where I was so repulsed by him, I would stay at my mom's. Like, he would always walk around. He had this one pair of underwear, okay? They were gray. I don't know if they were gray from dirt or if they were gray, that was the color. And there was a hole at the bottom, and his would hang out. This was the last straw for that. One day I was in my bedroom, getting ready to go somewhere. I was getting ready. He comes along in those underwear with his hanging out and decides to sit on my bed. That was it for me. I freaked out. One day, I came in with my mom with groceries. He came over there in my space, and he like nudged up against me, looking over my shoulder, like at the cheese that I had on the counter. And he's like, oh, can I have a piece? I'm like, fine, you can have a small piece. And I cut off like a small 1-inch piece. I think it's a good subject. You know, I think a lot of people go through this. Basically, she wanted to know how to cope with regaining your self-esteem, picking yourself back up after being knocked down by being cheated on. So after your self-esteem takes a hit from being cheated on or betrayed by someone. And I can say, I would say, I'd be confident in saying that the majority of people experience betrayal, especially from a lover at some point in their life. It's been a while since I've experienced this, but when I was younger and I didn't have much of self-esteem, I dated, a guy. I talked about him in one of my videos. He was a jerk. Like, would hit on my friend, like right in front of me, kissed a girl right in front of me. So that was like that. I remember that stinging bad, like that bitter, your gut drops, you know, that feeling. I like ran home. I couldn't breathe. But I think it's very common. I think it's like we're all human and we make mistakes, you know. But how I got over that situation was, it was so hard. I went back to him after that, and I just had no self-respect. Like, I didn't care. I was so in love with him that I just didn't care if he me. I didn't care about myself. Now, I don't know, I think just that experience, you know, you do a lot of internal, you know, soul searching when you're hurt. The number one thing to do is to never blame yourself. It's never your fault. There could be problems in the relationship, but you never deserve somebody treating you badly. You can't control things that happen, unfortunately, but the only thing you can control is how you react to things. So that's why I've learned trying to keep a positive attitude through everything is essential, because for my sanity. Like, I'm not on any kind of medication. I don't take any antidepressants. The important thing to do is just really, really, really just remove yourself as long as you need to, you know, and just really try to be positive, because everything negative that happens to you is a learning experience, and something positive can come from it. He was sick. He had a problem. No matter who he would get together with, he would cheat on. Never compare yourself. I always used to compare myself to the other women in his life, and it's like, you can't. It's apples and oranges. You know, everyone has their own flavor. Everyone's a fruit with their own flavor. So the good thing that came out of this being cheated on was that I've learned what I don't want in a relationship. From then on, I've had, knock on wood, good boyfriends. But it could happen. Something could go wrong. And, you know, you can't sit there living in fear, because, yeah, anything can happen. What you can control, you can't control that. You can't control what can happen. What you can control is how you react to it. Do you guys want to hear of the time that, you know, my roommate from hell? The one with the hanging out of the underwear and the garlic bologna? Roommate from hell revisited, because I went to visit him after he moved out. So one day, he invites us over. His girlfriend was a prostitute from Montreal. He opens the door in. He was wearing pants. He wasn't wearing a shirt, though, but he was wearing pants. His nails were very intrusive. Like, I'm honestly not trying to be mean when I say this. They were very intrusive because they were puffy. And he had like those kind, he had like bologna, like, they kind of looked like fried eggs, and they were puffy. So he got me a drink. The glass smelled like wet dog. So I was like, thanks, but no thanks. I sound like a snob, but this is horrible. I have a phobia of like really, really disgusting places like that. So he wanted to show us videos he made with his girlfriend. So he's going through his file, and he, all of a sudden, bam, full blast on the big screen is her friggin' and him munching on it like it was a corn on the cob. But it was pretty high def. You know, I saw her razor bumps. So I go to use the bathroom. The toilet seat smeared. There was like, I saw some on the sink on the wall. And I'm like, it's either that time of the month for her, or they gave birth to an alien out their ass, like in the movie Dreamcatcher. Like, I can't think of anything else. I was completely grossed out. But I had to pee. So I took a piece of tissue, wet it, wiped it down, put that in the toilet, and hovered. All of a sudden, I feel this commotion under my skirt. I'm like, what the heck? So I lift my skirt. There two cats were having under my skirt. And I was like, and I'm like, what the hell? And the gross roommate guy was like, it's probably warm under there, so they went there to shag. What? Warm? So I was either 16, 17, or 18. I can't remember. My friend used to take me with her to go to her boyfriend's mother's out of town. We were getting pretty, and I was feeling good about myself because I had just lost like 50 pounds. I had a really like short skirt on, and I had a really nice sweater. It was winter. There was this like table of people, like guys and girls mixed. There was this one dude. He was like visibly, he was older than me, a lot older than me. And he kept like, you know, trying to grab me whenever I would go by. And he's like, oh, you're so beautiful, like, sexy, and blah, blah, blah. You know, I can't even remember verbatim there. But then he's like, just get to know me, just talk to me for a bit. So I went to like a table with him, separated, and we talked. I noticed that he only had like, this part of his fingers were all cut off on one hand. Especially when you're interested in somebody, you find out that they have a disability of some kind. And briefly in your mind, you have to process that and think, can I oversee this? You know what I mean? And I know it's judgmental or whatever, but I'm sure people do that to me. They see me and they think, she's fat. Can I get over that? You know what I mean? So it's like the same thing. So I was like, yes, he's nice enough, you know, maybe I'll give him a chance. Or the end of the night came, and I didn't expect that he would be like, hey, please come to my house. Like, you know what? I'm like, okay, do you have your own place? And he's like, no, I live with my parents. My friend was like, no, don't go, you know. I'm like, I'm going. He'll bring me back in the morning or whatever. Got in the truck, went to his parents. As soon as you get in the basement, you smell bachelor. Pillow, bedhead, pillowcase that hasn't been washed, dirty socks, old beer cans. Comes over to me, licks my face. I was grossed out, but I played along. Takes off my. You would think after a guy takes off, he's gonna start doing things to you, but no. He put my on. I hope you don't mind if I wear this, but it turned me on. I didn't know what to say. I don't even remember what I said, and he kept it on. Oh my god, I had to go to the like I had the shits. Okay, beer shits galore. I come out, and he's like passed out, like completely passed out in my. Cuddles up to me, grabs me really tight, like almost friggin' suffocating, and he starts crying. I'm saying, "Mommy, mommy, oh god," and I'm like, "What the?" He sits up. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna puke." Pulls it to the bathroom. Oh my god, starts throwing up. It was horrible. I called my friend. I'm like, "Can you please get your boyfriend to come pick me up?" Because he drove. I'm like, "Please." So one day I was at my friend's. We were probably 17 years old or 18 years old, and we decide we want to smoke. And on the wall was like a, I don't know what kind of wall it was. It was like a wood. I don't know what you call that material. It's like fake wood. Her boyfriend would draw pictures of her like on the wall because he thought it was so beautiful. All of a sudden, comes downstairs this friend of mine, the crazy one, and this guy. Okay, he was from Latin America somewhere. I can't remember exactly, and he was. The only clothes this guy was wearing, he wasn't even wearing any socks or shoes, was like these beige, off-white, dirty-looking boxers. She's like, "Everybody, meet Sergio." So Sergio, because he didn't understand English, he would just smile the whole time. Like, he was so high, and his eyes were like really small because of that. And he was just like, he pulls out a little baggie, and starts rolling. And I wasn't really paying attention to him rolling. I don't think anyone was. We were all already high. And maybe 5 minutes later, it looked like everything was moving on the couch. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I gotta stand up." I go into the kitchen. I look down. The tiles on the floor looked like the floor was coming up to me, and I started feeling really weird. And I just started panicking. Like I started freaking out. I was looking at them, and I swear, this boy was in a vegetative state. Right? He doesn't make eye contact with you, and all he was doing in the corner was still like he reminded me like of a little hyena. He was just like in the corner, and I'm like, "What did you put in that, Sergio?" And he's like, "Everything." This apartment building I used to live in my hometown. Not the one with the lady in the robe there that was gave me the. So that same apartment, before I met BB, and I was living there with my ex, we had these neighbors. It was a man and his girlfriend. He looked like he worked at like IBM or something. Like, he always wore the same thing, these like beige-ish, greenish khakis, like white Nike tennis shoes, and like a golf shirt, like tucked in. And he had red hair, like he was ginger. Looks like he just combed it back with his fingers, you know? I noticed they were very friendly people. Every time we would cross them in the hall, "Hey, how's it going? How are you?" You know? But then, one day, it was nighttime. My outdoor parking spot, like both our apartment windows, balconies, windows, were facing the parking lot. And my parking spot happened to be right in front of his balcony windows. So one night, I'm pulling into my parking spot. I'm looking up at his balcony window. The curtains are kind of drawn a bit. I could see his face. I could see someone sitting on the couch, and he's looking, and he sees me pull in. So he stands up, comes to the window. Like, I had to really squint my eyes to see. Sure enough, he had very pink skin tone. I don't think he had hair because all his body, the skin tone of his body and his were the same color. I actually was disturbed because it reminded me of another time when I was maybe 13, 14, and I was walking down the street with one of my friends. Right when we're about to cross the street, this car almost runs us over, pulls up in front of us, and this guy, like I had to squint and look again to make sure I like the same situation with the guy in the window. I was like, this guy was driving completely naked. He was seat belted. I don't know, you know, safety when you're driving, I guess. He had a pink body again. Maybe it was the same guy. No, it was this guy. I think was brunette. I can't remember, but he had his windows rolled down, his sun visor covering like this side of him, and his hair was out, and he was pinching it. So we just started walking fast without saying anything to each other, and we were in shock that it took us. I was almost home with her by the time I looked at her and said, "Did you see?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then we just kind of didn't really talk about it. So I parked my car. Like he was waving at me. Him and his went to my apartment, locked the door. We came to the door and knocked. I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Go away." He's like, please, I thought you were my girlfriend. Please don't call the cops. I'm sorry." Anyways, the funny thing is, you guys are gonna hate me for this. One day, I was partying with my friend, who's kind of a skank. I'm not really friends with her anymore, but I'm not shaming. Well, yeah, I am. I had a date. This guy was a jerk anyway, so it turned out good for me. Turned out well for me. So I'm like, "Hey, come to this party with me." So it was me, my friend. Actually, it was just the three of us that night. We were partying. I was really intoxicated. So I went outside to get some air and have a cigarette. I later found out that while I was outside for like 2 minutes, she liked him. Like in those 2 minutes. While I was outside for those few minutes, the pink guy came outside. I sat down beside me and I was I could barely see him. And I'm like looking at him like this. I'm like, "Hi." And I'm like, "You think I'm pretty, right?" You know, I needed some attention then. I felt shitty about myself. I was like, "Can I be honest with you? I would leave my girlfriend for you in a heartbeat." Anyway, so I decided that I would go to university right out of high school, bad idea for me. And I would move in with my aunt. I decided to start in the winter semester for school. She lives in Jamaica now, and at the time she lived in Ottawa, where I went to university. And at the time that I was moving, she wouldn't be there for me. She was gone away for 2 weeks to Jamaica. Anyways, so I moved in, had my own room, my own computer in there. And you guys remember the chat room IRC? Like that chat platform IRC had different chat rooms and things. I ended up, out of loneliness, in the Ottawa chat room, one of the Ottawa chat rooms, talking to some guy, started talking to me. He described himself as, pay attention to this,
Screen name generic white male. I'm 30. You probably don't want me around you. I'm cute though. Built good.
6'4", short blondish hair, like dirty blonde, green eyes, and athletic build. You know, a kind of alarm went off like, is he for real? You know, sounds too perfect, or whatever. But no, it could just be, you know, looks like that, whatever. So he's like, well, why don't we meet? Why don't I come over? You know, your aunt's gone, it's perfect. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. You know, I was like excited, like we could, you know, get together. I caught him in a lie right off the bat because he's like, okay, I'm gonna catch the bus. I'm like, the bus? You told me you drove. Like, you told me you had a BMW though. So I hear a knock at the door, the apartment door, and I was like disappointed because I expected it to be him, right? And there were two guys standing there, and he's like, Chantal? One of the guys was like, Chantal? I'm like, yeah. Like, how do you know my name? He's like, it's me, whatever his name. I was like, what? Okay, let me break it down. The blonde hair he supposedly had was a long, stringy, greasy brown hair. He had a bit of I just hit puberty stubble on his face, even though he was older than that. His 6'4" was more like 5'7". Green eyes were brown. His body type was more like I'm malnourished but I drink beer. Beside him was a tall, probably 6'4" guy, athletic build, brown hair though, and blue eyes. He's like, I'm sorry, my cousin called me last minute and he was, you know, he was in town and he really wanted to come with me to meet you. So I didn't want to be rude and leave them standing out there. So I just let them in. So I said, well, I didn't know you were bringing anybody. And then as I said that, the guy, the hockey player guy, I don't even know his name either. He's like flexing his arms. He's like, what, you don't think I'm hot? And I was like, nope. It takes a lot more than good looks to turn me on. I'm sorry. The greasy haired freak comes up. I feel like he must have come up behind me, but I didn't, you know, I was unsuspecting. Grabs me, starts licking like a cow licks a salt lick, the side of my face here, and then like kept licking my face. I'm like, oh, that's the grossest thing. I don't know what all men out there never lick a girl's face. Okay, I don't know. Comment below if there's any women who like that. I don't know any women at all who like the entire side of their face being licked. I was like, oh, I just have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. He grabs my hair. He's like, tongue to my ear, and he's like, hurry back. And I don't want to shame. I've been with some guys who've had small, as long as they know what they're doing. But this guy was like, he had like a micro. I don't know if you know what a micro is, but it's like an actual thing. So he had a micro. It was just horrible. That's the last I heard of them. Thank goodness.